So I've never done anything like this before, but the stuff I've been through is so completely insane that, and I don't know that really people ever take advice, especially from someone they don't know, but I just want to put some of my experiences out there in the hopes that, like, if anybody even sees this, I don't know if he's even going to see this, but the hope is that somebody might see this and like consider some of the stuff that I'm saying, and that it might save them from some of the stuff that I've gone through. So just to kind of start, and this is not scripted or anything, I'm just gonna speak what comes to me, but I've got two little girls, incredibly amazing, just to me beyond description. They're just amazing, little, just incredible people. But I've got one that turns 8 this fall, and I've got one that turned 3 this last spring. And just to give you some context of what I'm dealing with, my oldest daughter, like I said, she's gonna turn 8 in a few months, and it's fair to say that I probably spent, like, physically, like, with her, like just hanging out with her, just getting to be a dad, like, with her. Probably, honestly, I think it'd be an exaggeration on the high end to say 6 months. I know that's crazy, but like, I've physically been able to spend time with her. I actually could like take her to, a frozen yogurt place or to the beach or whatever. Like, literally probably less than 6 months, which is insane. And part of that is because during COVID, I got no contact at all for however long COVID was, 2.5 years, 3 years, like her mother did not send me a picture, much less a FaceTime chat, nothing, right? So, I'll kind of describe that situation first. So, and again, this is going to sound insane, and, I really don't want to show documents online because it's private. I don't want to give people's names and stuff, but hopefully the way that I'm describing it, it'll come across as being real, because it's painfully real. So, and this is insane, but sometimes when you're one of the things about people that do utterly insane things is that when you're on the receiving end of it, that merely you reiterating what you've been through is so outlandish that it makes you sound crazy, that people are like, what? Like, there's no way that happened. So I fully understand that before I tell you what happened, that's going to be probably the reaction. Again, if anybody sees this, it might be the reaction that you have, but this is all true. So, met her mother back in LA again, like 8.5 or so years ago. She's not from California, but that's where I met her. And things were cool when I first met her. She's real smart. She's got a very dynamic personality. One thing that happened though, and this is like the first kind of big red flag that I think it's really important that people understand, because for me, my ego, I think, probably let me think that it was legit. But this woman was saying stuff like, I've waited my whole life to meet someone like you, stuff like that, and was saying things like that really pretty quickly. And she also wanted to have things get physical very quickly. I had just gotten out kind of a long-term relationship, and she's a pretty girl, but I really was not that attracted to her. But I did think she was pretty. I did think she was nice. Like, emotionally, it felt good to be around her, so I was with her for a while. Anyway, long story short is that what I've learned was going on is actually something called love bombing. It's a term that, and again, I can't say that I wish I would have known this earlier, because to even like hint that I regret meeting this woman, even as utterly insane as the situation has been, and I mean utterly insane, I don't regret meeting her at all. Meeting her is one of the best things that ever happened to me, because of my little girl. Like, I may be I don't even know what the word is. Just, to say I'm blown away by her actions doesn't even begin to cover the situation. But as awful as things have been, as much pain as I've been through, the sleepless nights, etc., it's all 100 million %, if that's not a number I know, but it's all worth it, because my little girl, like, I don't care what the hell has been, she's heaven. She's an incredibly kind, smart, curious, like, she loves the natural world. Last time I had a chat with her, which was 3 months ago, she's telling me about killer whales and how like they live in pods, and she was telling me other stuff that she learned about them, and she was just lighting up talking about this stuff. And I'm that way also. Like, I used to read the encyclopedia when I was a kid just to learn random facts, and I was always telling people, like, did you know this, did you know that? And even though my little girl has spent such little time around me, she does that same thing. She loves to share facts. When she learns something that she thinks is really neat, she loves to tell people. So anyway, I don't regret meeting her mother at all, but what she did when I first met her is something called love bombing, where they heap emotion on you, and they tell you how amazing you are and how amazing you make them feel. And if you're not aware of this, it's very flattering. I mean, that's why it's called love bombing, because they just, you know, heap this, what you think is positive emotion on you, and it feels good. I mean, it feels really great. Like, I mean, I was never like fully like in love with this woman, but I did develop feelings for her, and you know, thought that it might be a cool relationship. Again, she's very smart, very dynamic, you know, pretty girl. Not my normal that I would be attracted to, but you know, I just thought that who she was as a person was enough to make it work. But long story short, and this is the insane part about it. And again, I mean, I can't show it. I'm not gonna show it. I should say, but this is all true. So, long story short, we get pregnant. My daughter's born, and then the mother, basically right after the birth, starts being like, she always was like a little bit of this, but not like overly, and I kind of let it slide, because you know, when someone's pregnant, you have to give them some slack, because just the discomfort level of it, the hormonal stuff going on, like, you've got to give people some grace, for lack of a better term, right? So I didn't really think much of it. It wasn't that severe. But when my daughter arrived, it was really just ramped up, like being super critical, super condescending, just like a smart ass about stuff, you know, just really like not the way you should communicate with someone if you have any intent to speak with them with any kind of kindness or anything like that, right? It was awful, you know. And I begged her to go to therapy, and finally she relented, and we went. And we only went one time. That's all I could get her to do. So we were in the therapist office, and the therapist talks to us both, and you know, she's kind of trying to drill down, as she should, about what's going on, like what really is the core of the issue. And she asked my ex, she goes like, what is the problem that you had with him? Like, what exactly is it that's causing the issue with him? And she just made the blanket statement of that I had an anger problem. And I was like, hold on, like, I'm not saying it's invalid, but I want to know why you're saying that. Like, I want you to give her, you know, the therapist, like an example of like, when have I, like don't just make an allegation like that. Like, I want an example of like when I've said something or done something that was mean or controlling or anything. And she goes, we just have an anger problem. I said, no. I said, it's important that you give me an example, because without an example, I don't know what behavior to correct. Like, I just giving an accusation doesn't really do anything, because I can't do anything with that. But like, say if you, I mean, this didn't happen, but say she had done the dishes and I walked in and there was something that wasn't washed the right way, and I was like, what the, you know, that would be like an example of me losing my temper. Again, that never happened. Nothing like that ever happened, but that would be an example. And I asked her, I said, what's an example? You know, kind of pinning her down, so to speak, for lack of a better term, or cornering her verbally, I guess you could say, because when you're talking about a child having two parents in their lives daily, which is enormous. I didn't have that. A lot of kids don't, sadly. But that's something that should only be taken from that child if there's a really good reason. You know, I think most of us would agree to that. So anyway, I kind of held her feet to the fire, so to speak, in that moment. I said, like, what's an example of, like, what's something I've actually said or done? Like a moment, a word, an action, something. And she kind of thought about it, and then she got these, I guess you'd call them like crocodile tears, these fake tears. She was like, I just can't do this. And I was like, oh my God, like you're gonna make these accusations that you're gonna predicate and base breaking us up over and taking a complete family away from our daughter, and you can't articulate a single instance of there being any kind of an issue with anything. You know, I was just like, I was kind of blown away, but like, what can I do? You know, you can't force someone to stay with you. And it wasn't like we were in a court where a judge could demand, hey, you make it work, figure this out, you know. I mean, she's entitled to leave. So she left. So fast forward to when my daughter is about, I guess she was about 5 maybe when this happened. About 4 or 5 maybe. It's been several years. This is another absolutely insane part of the story. But again, you just have to take my word for it that it's true. So I was a realtor back in California, and I was getting ready for an open house one day, and I get a call, and this woman's asking me, "Are you so and so?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Are you so and so's father?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh my God, like, what's going on?" Because it's not the best way to start a conversation when someone asks you what your name is and if you're the father of someone and you don't know this person. Like, that sounds like, police calling to tell you something horrible, right? So I started to freak out, like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And so it turns out, and again, I can't emphasize this enough, I've got proof of this. The mother admitted this to CPS. So, let's scoot up here. So, turns out that the mother of my now almost 8-year-old daughter, as hard as this is to believe, imagine what it was like for me, that she sent a nude video of my little girl dancing, and according to the eyewitness I spoke to that testified in court for me, she was telling my daughter to turn around, zooming in on her genitals. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, the mother admitted this. She deleted the video when I called the police and I called CPS. She deleted the video, which, if it's such a cute video like she claimed, like, why would you delete that, right? But she did. So the DA here locally won't prosecute, even though I have an eyewitness, which is utterly insane to me. He said, yeah, if we had the video, we could do something about it, but the video's gone, and apparently forensically, there's no way to get it back. So anyway, the person that she sent this nude video to was someone that she knew back when she used to be an escort, which is another insane part of this story. And I don't fault someone for being an escort. I believe that consenting adults should be able to do what they want to do. There's nothing that I have an issue with in that regard. I mean, I don't know, because it's consenting adults. But the problem is that whenever you send a video of my little girl to someone you know from back when you were doing that, that's where the problem comes in, right? So I'll call CPS. For some stupid reason, they let her know they need to talk to her and what it's about. And so, of course, that gives her, it's like telling someone that's like making meth in their house, hey, we're going to come check the house tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to see if you're making meth, right? And so you have all this time to get rid of it. So anyway, they go investigate it. And I don't know if she did at that moment. She probably did before, but the video was deleted. She couldn't show it to him. But like I said, the eyewitness that I have said that the video showed her zooming in on her genitals, telling her to turn around. So you can imagine how that made me feel, right? So I guess the point of that is that when you find someone that's narcissistic, and you can look these traits up as far as like Googling what a narcissist does. I mean, when I looked it up, I was like, check. I mean, all of the main things that they say these people do, I witnessed firsthand. And I encourage, I implore, I beg everybody out there, men and women. And again, I don't know if anybody's going to see this, but if you're dating someone, or if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, you owe it to yourself. Look up what narcissistic behavior entails, and narcissistic abuse. Look up what that means, because narcissism, I used to think it just meant that like you're kind of self-centered, that you're maybe arrogant. I'll go, you're narcissistic. But real narcissism it's diabolical. I mean, it is absolutely diabolical. These people will use anyone if they think that there's a benefit to be had from it. They will do anything. They will say anything. If it involves compliments or sex or whatever it may be, they will use anything. Oh, that reminds me. So, and again, this is scripted, is why it's this way. So it turns out that before my ex knew me, that she had gone to a fertility clinic because she was looking to have a child, but she did not want to have a father involved. And there's a show that she was on. I'm not going to say what it's called, but there's a show that was on. It's kind of a low-level reality show where she's talking about going and wanting to have a kid, and literally says the words having a baby daddy, which, as we know, that means a child without a father that's actually present in the life of the child. And she went to a fertility clinic, and this is all on video. I mean, some of you may know this show. It wasn't very popular, but I have known people that knew the show, and if you know what I'm talking about, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But she goes to this clinic, and turns out that it's more expensive than she feels comfortable with paying. And she said something along the lines how she wants to see the face of the father, right? So she tells her friends, I want to get a baby daddy and go that route. If I find someone to seduce them, get rid of them. So I enter the picture, and she does all the love bombing stuff. I love you so, not I love you. I mean, she did tell me that later on, but like, you're so awesome. I didn't think this was possible, all that stuff. So anyway, I just want you guys to really be careful when it comes to dealing with narcissists, and to really make sure you know what that means so you can recognize it. And I guess maybe there's some other red flags to think about when you're, and again, this is probably geared more to younger people, because I think most of us that are older, you know, unless you've been fortunate enough to be healthy emotionally in the way, like from a good childhood, to know what to look for, most of us are unfortunately damaged in some way, and that skews who we're attracted to, and it skews like our the emotional lens, I guess you could say, that we look at the world with. It makes us drawn to people that a healthy person would be probably turned off by, right? There's things that people do that are unhealthy that feel good to people that have had trauma. And it's so important that if you think that's something that you deal with, that you get a good therapist that you trust, and that you feel that they care about you. Because it's important to find a therapist that has empathy for what you're going through, that actually cares about how you feel and what you're dealing with, you know? So it's not a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal if you don't, but seeing a therapist is a great thing if you can find someone, like I said, that covers those bases for you, because you're saving yourself an absolutely insane amount of heartache. And again, I would not undo what I have done. I am thankful for my daughters. Like, I die for them, you know, they're incredible. But in the future, like, I'm gonna be hypersensitive, and that's assuming I even date anybody again. Like, I'm 46, and I haven't dated anyone I can probably like, you know, it's been a while. And just to be honest with you, I haven't been physical with anybody in probably like 3 years. You know, I'm just so shattered emotionally, and I don't trust my heart, so to speak, you know, because I know that for me, a red flag is a green flag. And until I get to a place where I feel comfortable enough to like not be that person through therapy and time and just trying to heal, I just don't really want to, you know, take that chance with somebody. I just don't think I have the emotional bandwidth to try that. But one thing I was going to say, and it's easy not to really be worried by this. I think a lot of people do understand this is an issue. And it takes two to tango. This is not something I'm blaming on them. But when you have a woman, and it's going to piss some people off, but I don't care. It's, again, assuming anybody sees this. The reality is, if you have a woman that, I'm not talking about someone that's 45 or 50. I mean, it's a little different, I think, when you're older like that. But when you're with someone like in their 20s or even 30s, you should not hop into the sack the first time, you know, that you're with them. I don't care how the energy is. I don't care about the success stories out there. The only way that I think that is allowable is if you use a condom. But if you as a man are okay with ejaculating in a woman that you've known for, you know, 5 hours, and especially if a woman is okay with you ejaculating in her and she hasn't known you for, again, very long, that should be an absolutely massive red flag. It's not a compliment, all right? For me, I always took it as a compliment. I'm 6'6", like, you know, I'm not bad looking now, I don't think, but I was much better looking when I was younger, and like I pulled a fair amount, and I was irresponsible, you know, and I took it to where if a woman gave herself to me physically, like the first time that I was actually hanging out with her, I thought, hey man, I'm just that cool and good looking, man. These chicks can't help it, you know? But that's not what a healthy girl does. Or at least not what she should. She should not let a man that she's not known ejaculate in her. Again, if you have a condom on, I think that's a big difference. But for a woman that doesn't know you, to put herself at risk for, you know, like a disease or pregnancy or whatever, I mean, to roll the dice in that way is something that I think an emotionally healthy person, a person with self-respect, which is so key. It's so key. And again, it's lacking within me also, because I've done these things, you know, I'm talking from experience. But when you have someone that wants to get physical like that, as soon as you've known them, I'm not saying not to do it. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that, like, going to a bar, like when I was a young man, going to a bar and like, I mean, it's rather inarticulate or whatever to say, but like just hitting some strange, you know, going home, like it feels amazing. I'm not gonna lie, we all know it does, the people that have done that, but it's not something you should do. Like, I've never done heroin, I'm sure it feels amazing. You shouldn't do heroin, you know? So I get that it happens, but you really got to try to fight hard to not let that be the case. You know, really try to give it some time, get to know the person, and then, you know, just have enough respect for yourself and your heart and your body to not give yourself physically so quickly to someone, and also to not really think that it's a good thing when someone gives themselves to you quickly so physically. I mean, again, that's not what a good, strong, self-respecting person should do, whether you're a man or a woman. I think there's more consequences for a woman just because of the biology and the physiology, but it's something that you really should not look at as a good thing, and you should really be very, very cautious of if it happens. I understand mistakes happen, but I don't know. I just don't think there's a scenario. And again, I know there's people that would disagree. I was one of them at one point, you know. But I'm 46 now. I've had enough experience. I've known enough women that the ones that do that are not the ones you need to be with. And ladies, same thing for the guys. Like, don't let him do it. If he's trying to have sex with you the first time he knows you, I mean, a lot of guys are going to do that. But think of it as a test. If you like this guy, make him wait. I'm not saying to make him wait for months and months and months, but make him wait. Make him show you that he's willing to spend some time and that he wants to get to know you in some way. And again, if you're just trying to go out and get laid, use some protection, have fun. I'm all for it. But don't let someone have unprotected sex with you, and don't be having that with someone that you don't know. And I know it's easier said than done. I've been guilty of it many times, but I'm just saying, if you want to have a healthy relationship, you need a healthy person. You need to be one, and you need to find one. And the way that people tell you who they are is by their actions. And you've got to learn to look past, you know, what your gut tells you, because a lot of times our gut leads us the wrong way. It's like, I think Edgar Allan Poe said something along the lines of, I've never been insane except upon the occasions that love has touched my heart. I think you could expand that to lust. Love and lust will make you do stuff that you really know you shouldn't do. And I'm just asking you guys that, and again, I know it's probably gonna be ignored. It's you know, people do what they do, but you should really try to fight that. If you have someone that you like, that you're attracted to, you know, if they're cool, really try to wait. Try to build something first before you take that you know, things to the next level. So anyway, I've also got another daughter. She's 3, and you know, her mother honestly is not. I mean, she's done some stuff that's been absolutely just brutal to me, but she's not a bad person in the sense that, like, the first girl I told you about, or the first woman I told you about, is like, she comes from a family with a lot of money that never really gave her, I don't think, the kind of like love that she needed. She had a brother that was not good to her. And just to give you an idea what kind of parent she's got, her mom, her parents lived about 40 minutes from the hospital from where my daughter was born. And her mom, who had no health issues, you know, able to drive, no, you know, she wouldn't come to the hospital. Her daughter was giving birth, you know, to her granddaughter, and this woman would not drive 40 minutes to be there for the birth. And again, I know that's insane, it's reality, but that's the kind of mother that this person had. And so I think that when it comes to your emotional depth, that it's hard to give what you were never given. And as much as I still care about her to this day, I just don't think that she was given the kind of emotional nourishment that she needed to be fully healthy emotionally, you know. She did some things that were, to me, like, really unforgivable. Like, she told me one time regarding my oldest daughter, you know, I was trying to get custody of her, and she knew about the situation with the nude video and the alienation and all the crazy stuff that had gone on, but she did not want me to have my daughter full time. Like, she knew that my daughter, like, her mother had tried to traffic her, and like the nude video thing and all that. Even knowing that, the mother of my youngest daughter was telling me to lobby for just like part-time or like half-time custody. And it's like, if my ex were normal, you know, my oldest daughter's mother, you know, and emotionally healthy and didn't do the kind of crap that she's done, I would be okay with 50-50 or whatever. Like, that's what I'd be okay. That's what's fair, 50-50. But when you have someone that's actively endangered your child, you've got to do what you can to get them away from that person, as sad as that is. I mean, it's like, it's not ideal, but it's what's best. You know, I mean, it just is what it is. So anyway, that was the one thing that really was tough for me. And also, there's a time when I think I had food poisoning or something. I was sick for like a day or two. I'd never get sick, thankfully, but I had, I think it was some food poisoning for a day or two. And I was throwing up constantly. I was in a horrible place, man. Thankfully, I'd never get sick, but it was brutal for like 24, 40 hours. And the mother of my youngest daughter at the time, she made the comment that when I'm old, that she wouldn't be able to take care of me and that she would have to throw me in a nursing home. And that may be normal for some families, but in mine, that is not what you do. You take care of your old people, you know, like, you don't put them in a home. Like, if they need like a home health nurse or whatever, then they come by to the house to help out, but you do not put your loved ones in a home. I mean, I know it's normal. I'm not judging anybody, but to me, that's not what you do. I don't care what's going on. Like, you know, if your mother and father, if you're lucky enough to have both of them, if they really took care of you when you were a child and loved you and did what they should have, you don't need to be dropping them off in a nursing facility where they're not with family. I mean, that's just, to me, that's bullshit. You know, I guess that is actually a little bit judgy, but I'm not saying it's right for everybody. I'm just saying that's what's right for me. So she told me that, and that also was like absolutely heartbreaking that she, because I think most men really cherish a woman that is, nurturing in a deep, real way, like, the proverbial like ride or die, to know that like no matter what happens, like I got you, like I'm your person, you can count on me. Like it's not predicated on like, oh well, I'm okay with you as long as you're not sick, or whatever it may be. So, but like with the other mother, we were physical the first time we hung out. And actually, that was a little bit different. Actually, they were both this way now that I think about it. That's another thing, guys. Like, if you've got a woman that is really being aggressive with you sexually, and she's not caring about using, again, it's totally different. If you throw a condom on, I'm not talking about the pill's not the same thing. But if you throw a condom on, and a girl really wants you to go to town, you know what I'm saying? Like, throw a condom on, like, I don't judge that girl, because there's really no consequence. I mean, there's an emotional consequence, but if she's mentally and emotionally okay with that, then when you have a condom on, there's really no, I mean, I shouldn't say there's no, but there's a drastically reduced probability of a physical consequence for what you're doing. But, and again, I'm not being judgy, because I let it happen. I mean, I was attracted to her, and it happened, it takes two. But when the mother of my youngest daughter, the very first time that we hung out, it happened because we'd been talking, to be fair. We've been talking for a few weeks. We hadn't actually seen each other, but we'd been talking. And she sent me a message saying that she'd like got into a fight with her parents, and she wanted to know if she could like come hang out because she didn't want to go home. And I was like, of course. So, she comes over, and we're hanging out. And normally, because I was attracted to her, because I'm fucked up in that way, like as far as like being irresponsible with sex, like normally I would have tried to make a move on her. I mean, she was in my house, like we're laying down together watching a movie, like it's, but I was being cool and not doing that, because one, I really liked her. And like I said earlier, I wanted to try to build something instead of just letting it hop into physicality so soon. So I was laying there or watching a movie. I don't remember if we were drinking or not. We might have had a couple, but I don't remember. We weren't drunk. But all of a sudden during the movie, she just starts kissing me. And I'm like all about it, because I was super turned on by that. I shouldn't have been, but because I'm screwed up, I thought that was okay. So anyway, like she initiated it with me. And again, it takes two to tango. We did it. I really liked her, I thought she was really cool. She's a very smart person. She's interesting in a lot of ways. And so we started dating. And again, I have to always say it, I don't regret anything that happened, but if I met someone else and this same thing happened, I would not stick around. Like this woman, like I said, really smart, has a lot of great things about her. She's funny, but she quits everything. I mean, everything. Her dad made, at least at the time, a few years ago, he was making like $500,000 a year, which in any California or wherever, that's a lot of money. And he was able to take care of her school, like at least I believe I know once, and I think twice, I'm almost positive it was twice, that she started college and had everything paid for. Think about that, like books, phone, car insurance, plus like $1,200 or $1,500 a month, like no bills at all, plus like $1,000 or whatever, $1,200 a month, something like that for spending money, right? Like ideal as it can get, as like a 19 or 20-year-old trying to go to school, and most people like struggle to pay for things. They've got to take out a ton of loans and work a ton and not sleep much, and like this woman had everything taken care of, and wouldn't finish school, and I just kind of disregarded that. That should have been a massive red flag. She also got a job at Ulta. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Ulta. She got a job there, and worked literally half a day, and I feel some responsibility for that, because she was saying how much she wanted to come over and hang out with me instead of working, and because I'm irresponsible, I'm learning. I was like, cool, screw it, quit, come home. Like I want to see you too. Like I really like being. Like I loved her. I care about her deeply still. I wanted to hang out with her, and so I told her to leave work and to come over. So I'm just saying, like when you have someone that quits everything, that's a big red flag, because you need to have someone that's got some grit, someone that knows how to buckle down and do things that need to happen, especially when they don't want to, because that's how life is. Whether that's why when you get married, which I've never been, surprise, but that's why it says for richer or poor, in sickness and in health, because marriage and relationships are not just about when things are cool, because no matter who you are, if you're together for a while, there's going to be a bump in the road. I mean, it's invariable. There's things that happen, and if you're not going to be with someone that really knows how to stick to something, and if it's not someone you can really count on, you need to get out of the relationship. I don't care what your body or what your mind or heart tells you. You need to leave. You need to find someone that you know is there, someone you can call at any time if you're in trouble, someone where, like she told me, like, when I'm old, she's gonna throw me in a nursing home. If someone says some shit like that to you, get out of there. This may seem common sense. I know that a lot of people, assuming anybody even sees this, they're gonna be like, well, that guy's a fucking idiot, blah, blah, blah. And that's probably fair, I don't know what to tell you. But, at the time, I didn't view it as the red flag that I should have, but, someone that's able to be, for lack of a better term, tough, not mean. Mean is very different than tough. But someone that's tough, that's very important. And a man and a woman. You need someone that's going to stand by you thick and thin, that knows that family is very important, So, anyway, I don't know really what else I can say about this situation, except for, as far as my daughters are concerned, my youngest daughter, I haven't seen her in 14 months. And just to revisit that, when we split up, the mother of the youngest, she just walked in one day and told me she was unhappy. And I knew things weren't great. We hadn't had sex in a long time when that happened. And I'm not trying to get too personal, but I just want to share it with people because I just, hopefully I can help someone else out if they're going through this, or honestly, I'd like some help. If someone has anything they want to say to me or just wants to reach out to just say something that's kind to me or whatever, like I've been there, I get it, hanging, whatever it may be. But we split up, which of course is her right. It was really hard for me, but things were amicable. And the reason why we hadn't been physical in a long time was because of the things that I mentioned earlier, like her telling me that she was going to throw me in a nursing home. And one other thing that really was an issue that was not a huge thing, but also kind of told me that, like, this may not be like a good situation, was she mentioned one time wanting to get married, but she did not want me to do it unless I had like a decent amount. I'm not saying it was a lot of money, but she wanted me to have like a nice ring for her, like to get something decent. And maybe I've watched The Count of Monte Cristo too many times, but to me, if someone really loves you, they don't give a shit about the ring. Like, to me, like, if someone really loves you, the ring is an incredibly distant afterthought. What matters is, like, I love you. Like, I don't want to ever let go of you. I want something official that kind of makes us like one thing, And when you kind of base that a little bit with, like, I want a nice ring first, though, that's not the right kind of thing that someone should tell you if they really want to be with you and love you and whatever. So that was a red flag that I disregarded, but because I have my own issues and because my mentality is to find red flags as green flags, I didn't leave, So anyway, the nursing home comment, her not wanting to have my oldest daughter with us, even knowing what she had been through, like, that made me not physically attracted to her. I don't know if anyone else really feels that way, but, like, if I don't know that you really love me, that you're not really, really there for me, and that you don't care more about me, and especially my other child like that, then that's just not going to make me feel intimate with you, like emotionally or whatever. Like, I just, because I still cared about her, I still loved her. Like, it really mattered to me to make her happy. Like, when she needed something from the store, like, I always was glad to get it. I cooked basically most of our meals. I'm not trying to brag, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like I was throwing together 5-star stuff, but I cooked basically every meal that we had, and I was glad to do it. And I don't mean to make it sound like, oh my God, I'm a perfect boyfriend, because I'm not. I'm not. I've got issues like anybody else just about, but anyway, we hadn't been intimate in a long time, and I'm sure talking to her friend, she was like, you need better than that. God knows, because single women love to make other women single, I found. I don't know if that happened here, but I think that might have. But regardless, those things made me pull away. You go so long without being physically intimate, something's gonna happen. And I don't believe she ever cheated on me. You never know, but I really don't believe that. But she found out after we split that I was still friends with someone that I dated briefly back in LA, and I did tell her after my ex made the comment about the nursing home, about throwing me in the nursing home when I'm old. Like, I was so hurt by that when I was talking to my ex, I told her that I wished it would have been her that I had my daughter with instead of the one that I did have it with. And I shouldn't have said that. That's nothing that I should have said. I just said it because I was hurt and I was upset. but that's not something you say. And I know that if I were her and she had told some other guy, like, I wish it would have been you I had a kid with instead of, I guess you could have seen my name regardless, but that would have hurt big time. And so the point of that story is that she was relatively cool with me, and as far as like not moving away and letting me see my daughter, until she learned that. And I think my sister is how she found out about that, but that's another story. But it was when she found out that I made that comment to my ex that she really flew off the handle, and I understand that she was upset about it, but that's what really pissed her off. That's when she moved away, and I haven't seen my little girl in 14 months. And we're in a mess now with court stuff because she did file a restraining order on me. But before that happened, at the beginning of October, this was like 3 months after we split, I got no contact with my daughter, and I was begging her and her parents, because her parents pay all of her bills. I was begging, literally, oftentimes with tears in my eyes, like, please let me see my little girl, like, let's figure something out, please, please, please. And finally I was like, I'm gonna have to go to the court. I don't want to do that, but I'm gonna have to go to the courthouse and file paperwork. I don't want to do that because this is kind of a common sense thing, but once you get into a courtroom situation with someone, the entire goal is to try to tear each other apart, because your job is to make them look like shit as much as possible, and their objective is to try to make you look like shit as much as possible. And this is someone that you intimately knew, and so like you're gonna go from really, really caring about someone to doing everything you can to show that they're as horrible a person as you can justifiably make them out to be. Like, I've got a text from her talking about when she was pregnant, she was smoking weed, and it makes me sick to think about having to tell a judge that, yeah, she was smoking weed while she was pregnant. Like, that doesn't make me feel good. But, when she's trying to file a restraining order on me because she got tired of me asking to see my daughter, and to be fair, I was very, very cordial for the first 3 months or so. But then I tried to get her served with the court documents, and I have affidavits. This is, again, everything I'm telling you is true. But I have affidavits from the sheriff's department and a local process server where she lives that they attempted 24 different service attempts, phone calls and visits to her apartment, and she avoided service each time. I've had officers tell me they heard a TV when they went to the door, but she wouldn't answer the door. She dodged service 24 times, and so at that point, I was so frustrated because she wasn't letting me see my daughter. She had denied me the one avenue that I had to see her, which was going and having it adjudicated in a court somewhere. That I got to the point where I was emailing her, instead of saying, please let me see her, please let me see, I was telling her, hey, like, you're really being a piece of shit to me. Like, this is really some absolutely just trash behavior to do this to me, So I'd send her messages like that, and then finally she used that to file a restraining order on me, which, to me, I've kind of looked some of this up. This is a thing called reactive abuse. I don't think the judge is probably going to give a shit about it, but it's when you treat someone poorly for an extended amount of time, however long it takes, and then they finally react. It's like if you stab someone every day and it wasn't against the law to do so, and then say like a week later they finally turn around and like push you away or say, hey, you're an asshole, stop stabbing me. Then like they point at you and be like, hey, look, they reacted. Or not, they don't say that, hey, look, they reacted. They just point out at what you're saying, and they're like, hey, look, he's being mean, he's being whatever. But I never threatened her. I would never threaten her. I would still do anything for her to this day. I don't want to be with her. I wish that she would come back and let us figure out a way to co-parent. But as much as I care about her to this day, I'm still, when you tell someone that you're not really there for them when it matters, that's someone that you can't be with. As much as I may miss her and care about her, that's not someone I want to be with. I want someone that's there when times are rough, as we all do, and like as we all should. So anyway, I don't know really what else to say. I've just made some mistakes in my life. I didn't have any guidance when I was a kid. My mom, I think I mentioned it, but she was divorced 4 times. I went through, as a kid, 3 divorces before the age of like 6, which I don't even know what that did to me, but I know it wasn't good. I never knew my dad. Met him when I was 28 years old, and my mom, I loved her. She's passed, but she was of no help when it came to relationships. Like, I would ask her for help with something I was dealing with, and her response was, well, y'all shouldn't be living together. And I'm like, that doesn't do me any goddamn good at all to say we shouldn't be living together when I'm asking you about a problem that we're having. Like, how does that solve anything? So anyway, I had no guidance. I'm a fairly smart guy, but it wasn't enough. I didn't recognize what's been done to me, and I still probably don't understand it fully. So I'm just telling you, like, to watch out for the stuff that I've told you to watch out for. And if you've gone through some stuff, be honest with yourself enough to know that you need some help. Even if you don't think that you do, you know, everything in this world comes, and when people have problems, it almost always comes down to someone not loving you like they should have. A mother or a father, sometimes both, not loving you like you should have. That stuff causes, not loving a child like they deserve causes an insane amount of damage. And if you don't like your parents, like the mother of my youngest daughter, she told me more times than I can count that she wishes her parents were dead. Not like in like a facetious way, if you can even do that or whatever, but she would say that she hates her parents and wishes they were both dead, you know? So goes without saying that if you feel like that, there's a lot of damage that was done to you and you need to get it worked out, and she never did, of course, you know. I still don't know if she has. But I just want you guys, if anybody even sees this, like I said, to take care of yourselves, you know, and that doesn't mean just going through the motions. That means like really being honest with yourself. And I think honestly, even if you don't think that you do need a therapist, I think that you should find one and just tell them, say, listen, like, you know, say if you're a young person, say you're 20 or whatever, say like, you know, I want to get out there, I want to find a good person, but I want to know that my emotional programming is written, so to speak, in such a way to where I'll know that I've found a good person, and that I'll know how to look for a good person, and that I'll be able to recognize the behavior of the wrong person. You know, these things are super important, because if you just try to wing it, imagine like never flying a plane and you get dropped in the cockpit. You know, it's not your fault if you crash, right? You know what I'm saying? But you have a chance to get some training. Get out there and get you a therapist. And for those of you that have someone that you've been with for a long time and you really love each other and you've got that rock and you're that rock for that other person, I am so thankful for you. I'm so happy for you, because that's rare and that's wonderful, and that's what the world needs more of. So anyway, I don't know what else to say. I just wanted to share what happened to me, and if anybody can get anything out of this, then that's good. And if not, at least it was honestly cathartic for me to share it with people. So y'all stay safe.